Hello Libra, Libra Rising and Libra Moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for April 2017. And a quick reminder for you guys to remember, these are long-standing aspects. They are seasonal sweeps and changes going on throughout this month. And a lot of them go on for longer than simply one day. And a lot of these are actually going to be some of them are going to be following us all the way up through July and September. So it's really important to keep that in mind, and if you're ever interested in looking at smaller, short-term, I recommend checking out your weekly horoscopes. The first half is always dedicated to astrology, and of course if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always go to my website, integrativemysticism.com. So, what is going on with your astrology this month? Well, we do have a lot of retrogrades to cover, but I'm going to say that two of them you are actually really going to like. So do not worry, do not fret, do not get ahead of me, and it's not going to be that bad. So starting off at the beginning of the month, we do have Venus, still retrograde, moving back into Pisces, into your 6th house of work, reputation, and physical health. And so it's very important whenever we have Venus retrograde in the health area, be careful because Venus retrograde tends to indulge a lot. And almost, very similarly, because we also have that Neptune there as well, you might be finding yourself, especially in the first 2 weeks of the month, more sensitive to certain types of substances. If you are taking any kind of medication, if you, maybe you drink, maybe you, have a prescription that you take, be careful at the beginning of this month when it comes to starting anything new like that, or maybe overindulging a bit too much. We may be more highly susceptible during this time, and it may throw our bodies out of whack a little bit. It's only for the first 2 weeks of the month, but it's an important message to get out there. On the work and reputation front with Venus retrograde, it's important to pay attention to our team, okay? Our co-workers, our collaborators, our friends on the workforce, because with Venus retrograde we may be noticing that somebody is letting the insecurity, the paranoia, the emotional baggage that can come with Venus retrograde start to affect his or her performance at work, and it may actually even start to put a bit of a strain on the working relationship that you have. And odds are this person for the most part is having some things come up that I feel are that needed to be kind of expressed when we started working together. One of those sort of couldn't you have let me know in the first place kind of situations. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this does kind of change the way we work with this person hereafter. But moving ahead to the 15th of the month, when Venus goes direct, we will still establish a peace with this person. Things will be going back into balance. With Venus direct in your 6th house of work for the rest of the month, you can enjoy a lot more easy times, not only collaborating with people, but also being more popular, and perhaps even getting some kind of special treatment or incentive from the boss, and some easy money as well. So it's just the first 2 weeks of the month that kind of have that weird little wild hair going on. On the 6th of the month, we have Saturn turning retrograde in your 3rd house of communications. And this can actually be a really good thing for a lot of you Libra people who have been feeling like there has been some kind of obstacle to you obtaining maybe a license, or maybe some kind of contract or agreement or stability as it relates to paperwork. You may be also doing the opposite. Maybe we're trying to clear something during this time. Maybe we're trying to, negotiate something off our credit report. Maybe we're trying to, get something, off a record a little bit, sort of a blotch off an employment history. Something along those lines that we need to clear up, that's been a sort of like a thorn in our side when it comes to the communications area. It's going to be much easier with Saturn retrograde from April up for the next 3 or 4 months to be able to start deleting some of those things, so to speak. Now with Saturn retrograde in the 3rd house, a lot of you who may be feeling like your social life has been inhibited a little bit. Maybe you've been feeling like it's harder for you to connect more meaningfully with a broader audience, a broader collective. Maybe you're also having some trouble in school, you're having some trouble connecting to students, professors, or even the work that you're doing to get some kind of certification, get some kind of, again, a degree underway. Saturn retrograde is going to take the heat off in this last semester of the year for you, and you may even find that there are some ways that you can actually take some shortcuts to getting done with this curriculum, this course, or this required training, or this required new information or required bureaucracy in order to expand and grow in your work or career or academic direction. So, I mean, Saturn retrograde is always a nice thing because, again, it's sort of like the oppressive energy of Saturn takes a break for a near quarter of the year. So, again, that's a good retrograde to have. On the 9th of the month, we do have Mercury turning retrograde in Taurus, in your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, and your self-employment income. And Mercury retrograde is usually a really, really good thing to have here. There's only a couple of places in our chart where Mercury retrograde actually works to our benefit versus to our detriment. And this is one of them. The other one would be the 11th house. And so if you have a rising sign or a sun sign with Mercury retrograde in the 11th house, as well as this Mercury retrograde in the 8th house, you know, this month is going to be very easy to you. But with Mercury retrograde in the 8th house, you may be finding out some old self-employment opportunities or some old projects are back on the table. And with Mercury retrograde, this could also be a time where old contacts are coming back to you with better tools, better opportunities, and better propositions for you as well. One of the things I like about Mercury retrograde is also talking about if people owe you any kind of financial debts. Maybe you've loaned out money to, you know, a family member, one of your kids, you've helped somebody put a down payment on a house. Any kind of, maybe not necessarily official debts, okay? We're not talking about so much like credit card debts and things like that, or we're talking about tangible cash debts or check types of debts, checks you've written, cash you've given away. You know, we're starting to see a lot of that return during this Mercury retrograde cycle, so a lot of you could actually be even on the collecting sort of side of things, you know, being able to collect. Thank goodness, which is really, really nice to see. I mean, a lot of you may have been waiting for some of these things to come back in. Maybe you've been waiting for a friend or a relative to pay you back for money you gave them, okay? And this would have to be a direct kind of thing, but I definitely see a lot of paybacks and payouts coming your way, especially between the 9th and the end of the month. On the 11th, we've got a full moon in your sign, which is offering the wild card blessing of the full moon that it is. And the full moon is talking about punctuations and endings when it's in your sign. What do you want to release? What do you want to end? And what do you want to let go of? What do you not want to take into the second half of your personal solar year? We are halfway through the solar year, on the way to, again, beginning Libra once more at the end of September. So there's a chance here for you to do some serious clearing, some serious cord cutting this month, especially between the 11th and the 24th. Are you trying to get rid of perhaps you know, some difficult people in your life you don't want around anymore? Maybe you're trying to find a way to, you know, relocate. Maybe you're trying to find a way to get rid of a bad habit that you have, quit smoking, change your diet, get some kind of health situation under control. This full moon in Libra is allowing you the opportunity to banish or finish or at least punctuate that relationship with whatever you have. So there is an opportunity for an escape coming on, and we have a lot of that giving you shortcuts, loopholes, and escapes this month. On the 19th, we have the sun moving into Taurus, into that 8th house of intimacy and shared resources, but it's focusing more on the intimacy side of things, and now those of you Libra people who may have been wondering about when the hell is he going to start talking about some love stuff, this is where the sun is going to be working for you, because when the sun goes into our 8th house, it's definitely talking about more of an opportunity, especially all the way up until about the 3rd week of May, to start actually getting more time, more potential partners, but more time for intimacy, to get more out of the intimate physical affection that we share with a partner, or perhaps even a new intended. And this, when we talk about getting more out of it, we're talking about not just quantity, but quality, and spending more time actually extricating that, being able to indulge in celebrating being a sexual being throughout 18 and over, throughout the duration of April and again into that first couple of weeks of May, and you're going to be very popular in this sense. You may be finding it's easier to attract a potential mate or perhaps just a lover for some fun times. For those of you who are coupled, it might be getting a bit hot under the sheets for a lot of you as well. And at the risk of sounding too smutty, I'm going to move on to the next thing. On the 20th, we do have Pluto turning retrograde in Capricorn, in your 4th house of home and family. And this is going to be an aspect that goes all the way up until September. And when Pluto goes retrograde, we kind of get a double aspect or a double effect. And when it's in your 4th house, whenever Pluto goes retrograde anyway, we tend to see a focus on bringing things back that we thought were long dead that are not. Or bringing opportunities, bringing things back into the present that need to be cleared or finished, or to give you a second chance. Now the 4th house rules home and family relationships, maybe even home or real estate opportunities, money that should be coming into you and your family, especially if it has to do with, say, an inheritance, a probate, or an estate, or even an opportunity to start actually closing some situations that are left over with regard to those areas. A lot of you may be spending more time reconnecting with your roots, your ancestry, your extended family during April all the way up through September, and you're urged to kind of go through that because you may actually find out some interesting clues about, memory just in your DNA, some issues and cycles that could be going on in your life that you didn't know grandpa or grandma or uncle or auntie also had to go through on their journey, and so it could actually be quite illuminating. On the 21st, we do have Mars moving into Gemini, into your 9th house of higher education, academia, your spiritual practice, government and legal proceedings, as well as travel. And Mars in your travel sector may be opening up opportunities for a lot of you. Yes, it is Mercury retrograde, but still, Mars is going to be here well past Mercury going direct at the beginning of May, opening up opportunities for you to maybe get out into the world, travel abroad, maybe even work abroad. Mars is the planet of money and action and labor. It's the money earned through labor. If you've been looking for a job or an opportunity to work with an international company, or again, maybe even work across international lines, international waters, Mars in your 9th house is actually going to be not only expediting these opportunities for you, but perhaps even finally getting things set in stone that have been left up in the air for far too long, especially again between the 21st of April and the very, very end of May. On the 26th, we've got a new moon in your 8th house of self-employment, shared resources, intimacy, and passive income, and a lot of you Libra people may actually be finding there is an opportunity for you to start monetizing a side income for yourself or a side hobby. If you are thinking about launching a self-employment opportunity or starting a new job, again, be very careful when it comes to Mercury retrograde. But this, the soil is fertile for this. You may want to start tentatively, start slowly, start small, but with this new moon we may actually start to gain some traction even more quickly. If you have, maybe you're not even thinking about starting a new job, but from the 26th all the way up until about the 7th of May, and Mercury will be on its way by then, you may be finding that there is an opportunity to even launch or begin something that has simply been a blueprint up until this point. A new moon here can also indicate a new source of side income coming to you or your family, whether it be through a new investment, maybe even your partner finding a new job, your spouse finding a new job, as this area can talk about resources you share with your spouse, and that may be exactly what everyone has been rooting for in the first place. On the 28th, finally, we've got Venus returning to your 7th house of partnerships. In your closest one-on-one relationships, your best friend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, roommates, and business partners all fall in this area. The people you spend all that time and energy with one-on-one, or have the closest, again, one-on-one ties with. And with Venus going back into this area, a lot of you Libra people are kind of picking up where you left off back in January, before Venus decided to go all crazy. If you've been having some struggles dealing with insecurities, some rifts and things like that, when it comes to your closer one-on-one connections, Venus is going to be doing some peacemaking and some pacifying at the very end of this month and making everything right as rain. So that is your horoscope. I hope you enjoyed it. April doesn't look too bad. If you'd like to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you later.